Holy shit. All right. Wow. All right. Gotta love it when a computer decides to update in the middle of the time that you're trying to get logged on for a live broadcast. And I hope you guys can hear me and I'm coming through okay. Because the background processes on my computer have lost their mind. All right. Anyway, have I said lately I don't like Windows? That would be why I use Linux on just about everything. With the exception of the crap like this that I have to use Windows on because there's no cross port for my broadcasting software. Anyway, welcome to another broadcast live with the Shaman, right? Um, we're going to jump right on in. Apologize, I'm 7 minutes late. I hate being late. We're going to move right on in to the conversation we had this morning in Open Pagan Church, which was instigating rage. People who instigate rage in others, whether it's environmental, driving down the road, whatever. Now, our radio show, because of um, technical issues on the radio station, we were not able to broadcast today. We will be live on UnitedPaganRadio.net next week with using your environmental energy. Our broadcast today, this evening, is using your environment to deal with rage. And you can use your energy. You can use your environment around you to deal with issues with rage. It's it's a little tough to get used to, but once you get once you get past the initial phase of using the power word stop, right? Using the power word stop, you can learn to use your environment to help you control your rage. Now, some people be like, Don, what the hell are you talking about? How can you use your environment to help you control rage? Well, of course, I'm sitting in my office with a boatload of tools and weaponry, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a chair to smack somebody upside the head with it to help control their rage. That's not what I'm talking about at all. Sean says, just don't have rage. Yeah, well, rage is a part of human beings just like being human. And can you control rage? Sure, you can. I've been learning how to control my anger issues most of my, well, all of my adult life, to be honest. And probably over the last 15 years or so, I've managed to get quite a bit of it under control. I mean, at least when somebody makes me angry, I don't just walk up to them and dough pop them. That was the old days. That was the 20s and the 30s. When you get into your late 30s, 40s, and 50s, dough popping things or people tend to hurt a little more and a little longer. It's not as much fun either because the cost is quite a bit more than it used to be. And Lucy says, I don't get rage so much. Overwhelming sadness, yes. Overwhelming sadness can come from a side effect of uncontrollable anger, anxieties, or fear. Hmm. one or two people in this room don't know anything about fear, but I digress. This is not our topic tonight of fear. I've done topics of fear. Perhaps one of you should go back and watch the video on fear. Wonder who that'd be. So, using your environment to deal with rage. Now, the first thing you have to understand is what energies, what energies increases anger, which snowballs into festivity, which turns into blind rage. When we're dealing with energies, I know every one of us, every one of you that are going to be watching this pre-recorded broadcast later, have had a situation where someone has walked into a room or walked into an environment that just by them being there sets you off. Just by them being there angers you to no end. Well, if you use your environmental energies to assist you in controlling your space and your spatial awareness, then you can control the rage that people who repeatedly like to instigate such rage, you can lessen their control over you. Now, this is a shaman program, so I'm going to come at this from a shaman philosophy. Okay? We live and interact as shamans on a daily basis by feeling, reacting, interacting with, and controlling our spatial awareness and our spatial energy. Now, I'm going to pop this up. I'm not going to mention any names or exact locations or anything. Friday, I had a 1 hour meeting with my boss. He comes in periodically. We sit and chat about things that are going on, what's happening, what kind of changes need to be made, this, that, and the other thing. And he knows that I'm shaman. He knows that I'm pagan. He knows that there are certain pagan holidays, pagan Sabbaths that I do like to take off. If I can't, I'm not going to jump up and down and scream and holler. I just like to have them off if I can. Right? So he's really pretty cool. He is our new boss. The boss we had for 5 years transferred to another department, and he is specifically the manager of that department. So we now have a new manager and a new director. So, learning curve. Big learning curve. Anyway, for the lack of using a very corny phrase, he is such a muggle. Bless his heart. And he's such a redneck. But he's not your hillbilly redneck. I cleaned that up, didn't I? So he asked me, how do you maintain that everyone, when they're at work, when they're around you, talking to you on the phone, dealing with you in person, he said, at first glance, you kind of come across rough and gruff. Who, me? I mean, he's like, yeah, you're a big fella. You have a big presence, lots of hair. You're built like a brick shit house. I'm like, well, my brick shit house has a few more pounds on it, but I'm still okay. I can hold my own. He said, but the only people you seem to subconsciously intimidate are those that are afraid of themselves and everything around them anyway. He said, you've got a big personality. You seem to know what you're talking about. And I thought to myself, got you fooled, don't I? But he said, no matter what situation you're in, you always manage to stay calm. You always manage to be in control. And people around you feel safe and comfortable. He said, how do you do that? I said, well, number one, number one, no matter how scared of a situation I am, I never let the opponent or the opposite side or the other people know that I'm scared to death, right? And I said, number two, I keep a constant check on the energy around me. Irregardless of how angry I am or irregardless of how scared shitless I am of a particular situation, I keep a spatial awareness. I make sure that the energy that I am projecting and the energy that I'm allowing in manifest that control and that ability to be in control. I constantly remember the power word. I constantly remember the word that if I feel myself getting out of control, if I feel my anger beginning to build, right? If I feel my anger beginning to build, what's my power word? Stop. I know me well enough to know when I am reaching a point of no return with my festivity to the point where I breach a blind rage. Once my eyes haze over, no one's home, I will say and do stupid shit. I understand this. And I've been told by some medical professionals they make a medication for that. They make a medication for that. I said, yeah, you're right. They do. It would turn me into a zombie. It would turn me completely, totally into a zombie. I would be a blibbering idiot. No, thank you. I'm not willing to live under the aspects of a medication. Now, I did tell them this. I've told my wife and friends the same thing. If, per some weird chance, God and Goddess forbid, that I flip my cog, trip my trigger, and just go batshit crazy with zero control, you have perfect permission to shoot me in the ass with anything you want to, up including a 12 gauge if you want to. Last thing I want to do is become a danger to myself or anyone else. But the interesting part of it is this very same psychologist, after talking with me for about 45 minutes, he sat back in his chair and he said, there's nothing wrong with you. You're atypical, standard human male that has an anger problem, and it's not a problem that, yeah, hot poker would work. Ow, fine, ow, no, anyway. But I finally got him to admit that just because someone has an anger problem doesn't mean they need to take a pill. They need to learn how to deal with spatial awareness, right? They need to learn to deal with energy awareness, and they need to learn how to deal with their own fears inside. Now, rage, typically, and I have not found a parallel yet that I could not draw between fear and anger pistivity, or rage. I've not found a situation that I couldn't correspond with fear of one kind or another. Um, Long story short, if there is such a thing, um, by the time it was all said and done, my boss is like, maybe you need to teach me that. I said, well, there's a couple of things you would have to change that are outside of your personality for you to be able to change and be who you are and change that types of situational awareness. And I'm not going to go into a whole lot more because then it kind of gets redundantly self destructive on his part. But, case in point, the best way to handle rage and the best way to handle the building of rage is stop, breathe, gain perspective, and get a grip on your situational and energy awareness. Right? Don't listen to Sean. Sean says liquor. Liquor is the worst way in the world to control rage, I promise you. Right? Welcome to those who have just joined. But yeah, I am a recovered alcoholic from 82, and I promise you, liquor is the worst way in the world to control rage. Yes, Sean says, just kidding. Absolutely. Hi, Michelle. Glad you could join us. Missed you this morning. I know you don't get up that early in the morning, but you should really go over to Open Pagan Church and view our video from this morning. You'll get a bit of a giggle. So, um, that actually brings up a good point, though, Sean. Back in, oh hell, 79, 80, and 81, when I was real heavy into drinking, um, I I was the type of person that the more I drank, the stupider I become. I know some of you may find that hard to believe, but if I was drinking wine, the more wine I drank, the less clothes I had on. Well, that could be rather dangerous, especially if you're a teenager and you like dancing on the hood of your truck in the downtown of the city where you live. I had some jams going. Not a stitch of clothes on me. I was drunk off my ass. Local PD did not think it was funny. We decided that was not a good thing to do. However, when I drank whiskey, I became 10 foot tall and bulletproof. Now it's interesting because all of my friends at the time said, you don't get mean. You don't talk shit to people. You don't abuse the people you're with. You just walk into a bar and walk into the biggest son of a bitch there is and hit them just to see what'll happen. Wham! Just see what'll happen. Well, 99.99 tenths of the time, what happened is I woke up the next morning with a dislocated jaw or a broke nose, as you can tell. My poor schnauz has been broke a couple of times. Poor fella. However, yes, absolutely. Um, Sean says, step away, internally meditate. That's good. Yep, absolutely. Step away if you can. There are situations, though, that you can't. There are situations that you're going to be in where you can't get away from. Some individuals, when you try to walk away from it, they want to follow you, right? You're trying to walk away and they're steadily walking behind you going, makes you want to smack them. Shut up. Can't do that. Okay, could do that, but it gets a little expensive. Um, I have found through years of throat punch. No, I have not found 3 years of throat punch. Well, I have, but that's beside the point. Sean, quit it. Um, I have found through years of practice, through spiritual counseling, meditation, training myself, that the easiest way to shut down a badgering pain in the ass, okay? The badgering pain in the ass are these types of people that really actually have nothing to say. All they're doing is blah, 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 blah. Remember Peanuts, the teacher? Wah, 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 wah. Yeah, well, there you go. I have found the easiest way to shut these people down, and it's really kind of fun to watch. No, not take a big heavy. I don't recommend you take a big heavy hit of vape and blow it in their face. Although that would be kind of fun to watch, but that's beside the point. Yes, Sean says smile at them and be nice. Absolutely. At work, what I've started doing, and trust me, I deal with these types of people on a daily, regular basis. I have found that if I go to a neutral stance, like I said this morning, do not cross your arms. When you are looking at someone and they're talking and you've crossed your arms, that sets off a subconscious defense mechanism in your opponent that thinks you're being aggressive. Psychologically proven. However, if you need something to do with your arms or your hands, one, either just rest them on your chair. If you have a chair that leans back, just lean back. Take all emotion off of your face. Take all emotion off of your face, everything out of totally emotionless, and just look at them. And they will get worse for a minute. They really will. They will. And they just get plumb batshit crazy. And I just sit there and when they're done, and you're not feeding it, you're not giving them a reaction. Number one, I am controlling. What are some of the things I'm controlling? I'm controlling my spatial awareness. Okay. I'm not staring at, but I am watching my opponent to make sure that they make no physically aggressive moves. I'm controlling my spatial energy. And number one, I am not allowing myself to move into an anger or a rage that I can't get out of, that I can't control, that I cannot personally get past. But by allowing yourself just to sit and watch, and if you're standing up, lean up against something comfortable, if that's possible, and just keep your mouth shut. That's the best policy. And I have even found over the years, dealing with the individuals that I have, Lucy says, I've seen you make that face. Oh, yeah, she has. She has seen me deal with some real beaners in circle, let me tell you. But I have found that even dealing with aggressive, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Aggressive, in your face individuals, I have found that with the martial arts training I have, I am very protected with my hands sitting right here. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. See if I can do this. Right? Okay? I stand with my hands just like this. In doing that, you're not instigating anger. You're not instigating um, rage. And you're really not even instigating any kind of emotion whatsoever. However, hey Clint, however, with that stance, okay, you are physically prepared to protect yourself if you have to. But the biggest thing is, right? Stop. Breathe. Stop and breathe. Control your own energy. Control your own surroundings. Control your own spatial awareness. And don't let yourself reach the point of no return. The first thing that martial arts teaches you is when you become angry, you lose. The moment you become angry, you lose. And it's a known fact. It's a known given fact. The minute you lose control of your anger, you essentially lose control overall. And, it makes perfect sense that when you lose control and you're no longer aware of what you're doing, you've lost control of spatial awareness, you've lost control of spatial energy, and now you're a blibbering idiot right along with the other idiot, and we have two idiots standing in the middle of a room or sitting in the middle of the room screaming at each other, and not a damn thing is getting accomplished. Clint says anytime you lose control of any emotions, you lose. You got a point. Absolutely. So, again, um, I want to remind you that if any of you tried to go to UnitedPaganRadio.net today and look at the shows, or listen to the broadcast, they had some technical difficulties today, so most of the broadcasts were not on. Coffee with Pegasus will be on next week, same time. Okay. Um, we will be talking about energy, spatial awareness, controlling the energy around you, blah blah blah. How to do that. So, and Sean has a point. Love is an emotion. But I do want to bring up one point that I personally am very painfully aware of. Love is an emotion. Love is a very heavy emotion. I'm not the kind of person that says you need to control love, because then you can lose the entire ambiance, if you will, of what love can bring you. Okay. However, some some love connections can be dangerous for you. Okay. Um, I've been in relationships in the past where the people were good to me. They weren't bad to me at all. They were not abusive. The the situation was not good for me. Right. The individual was a good mate. They didn't treat me badly. They did the best thing they could. There were things that they didn't have, like there was no drive, there was no initiative, there was no partnership. Um, we really didn't fight, but we didn't anything. We did nothing. You know, the love connection was not good for me. Okay, so yes, love is an emotion, and yes, it certain types of love can be dangerous. But I say again, if you are aware of your spatial surroundings, if you're aware of your energy around you, then you know when things are starting to go south, and you can get the hell out of it, right? Um, Diane says misused sometimes. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, definitely. All right, so we are 37, 38. Damn, my cell phone says one thing and my computer says another. Go figure. We're about 37, 38 minutes past the hour. I'm gonna try to push on through without taking a break. Maybe I can give you back a little bit of your Sunday evening. So we've about beat this rage thing to death, right? Let's think about some things that causes rage. Okay, I'm the type of person that when I'm the type of person when I start getting angry, I want to regroup. I want to stop myself. I want to stop the momentum. I want to stop where this anger is going. So I will typically stop, take a deep breath, and I will go, okay, we need to step back and regroup because we're not going anywhere. This isn't getting either one of us anywhere. This isn't getting any of us anywhere. So we want to defuse the situation. We want to defuse the situation, step back, regroup, start the conversation over, and see if we can get an idea of where it's going. Now, I've tried that with certain individuals, and these are the types of badgers are rage instigators, if you will, the instigators of rage that have suddenly reached a point where they no longer want to communicate. All they want to do is continue to self explain, right? Self defend. They want to prove to everybody that they are right, or they may not be right, but they're not wrong. I've heard that in conversations with people. Well, I may not be right, but I'm damn sure not wrong. Okay, if you're not right and you're not wrong, then are you just stupid? That's a good middle ground. I mean, if you're not right and you're not wrong, then you're just stupid. Okay, before I completely mispronounce your name, hon, is that pronounced Dane? Dane. God, I am so horrible with names. Well, anyway, she says, sounds like my 18-year-old. Yeah, yeah. I believe it or not, I remember all those years ago when I was 18 and me man, you know tell me what to do. Me right. Me run in the tree. Feel good. Me 18. Me know all. Yeah, well. Oh, she says no, duh, nay, duh, nay, duh, nay. No pun intended at all. Really. Seriously. I'm horrible with names. Yeah, we've probably been over it before. I have a mind like a sieve. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. So, um, yes, 18-year-olds are mindless. She says, say it faster because that sounds bad. Duh, nay. I did, Danae. See, I said it faster. You changed your name variable or something. Changed your picture. Changed something about your name. Yeah. Clint says squirrel. Drum. Boobs. Sorry. This is an adult show, isn't it? Anyway, so in Sean says headstrong and cocksure. Yeah. Mm. Then you get in your 50s and both of them fail you. Oh. Um, Danae says, yeah, I finally changed my picture after 4 years. Well, there you go then. Don't derail the old shaman. It's easy to do. All right, so let's wind this down, shall we? Right? Sunday evening, it's 8:45 here in North Texas, or in the Central Time Zone, as it were. Um, so spatial awareness, energy awareness, environmental awareness really does help control rage and anger. If you are aware of what's going on around you and you're paying attention, not paranoid, okay, not paranoid, but if you're paying attention to the people around you and to your surroundings, it helps you not be caught off guard, right? Anger comes from fear. The fear of loss, not knowing, the fear of attack, the fear of invasion, the fear of people getting into your space, the fear of a million different things can snap and kick off rage. I had someone ask me one time, how can you correspond road rage with fear. That's easy. That's easy. You're typically in a 2,000 pound plus automobile. You should relatively feel protected in that 2,000 pound plus automobile. The problem is, automobiles today, you're not protected for shit. You're driving either tin cans or you're wrapping your ass in fiberglass, right? Um, you ever seen these cars that hit a wall, they just break apart? Granted, I like airbags. I like driver's side airbags, steering wheel airbags, passenger side airbags, stupid airbags, whatever. Sean says traveling without moving, right? Um, I like the airbag technology. It's not perfect. They're working on it, but it's still kind of cool. But where road rage can come from fear is people don't like being cut off. It scares them. Okay? You're driving along, you're puttering along, everything's fine, and somebody comes across and whip, cuts you off. Well, there's a couple of things you need to look at. There's a couple of things you need to look at. Were you driving your slow ass in the fast lane? In America, the left-hand lane is for passing and faster traffic. These idiots, these jacklegs, these dumbasses, and if this fits you, I'm talking about you, whoever you are, like to do 50 freaking miles an hour in the far left-hand lane. You're right. People are going to cut you off saying, hey, stupid. They're going to get behind you, flashing their lights, going, move your ass over, stupid. You want to go 50 miles an hour? Get off on the damn feeder. Don't drive in the far left-hand lane. Road rage comes from fear. The fear of getting hit, run off the road. If your kids are with you, the fear of your kids getting hurt. Well, the problem is road rage also turns off the smart button. Road rage turns off the smart button. Because all of a sudden you're madder than hell. The kids are in the car. You forget the kids are in the car. You're in hot pursuit of the sumbitch that just pissed you off and cut you off because you want to shove their ass into the wall. But your kids are with you. Think. Think. Lucy says Dallas scares me. Sweetheart, life scares you. I love you, but life scares you. Sean says they don't like it. What? Sean, that don't make any sense. They don't like it when you two on their window. When you tap on their window, riding a motorcycle, tapping on their window. I've done that. That will scare the shit out of somebody. I have had somebody cut me off on a motorcycle, and I pulled up beside them on the motorcycle and tapped on the window and like, what the fuck are you doing? Open your eyes, stupid. Well, of course, while I'm doing this, guess who's not watching the road in front of them while I'm tapping on the window? So, road rage, no matter how you do it, road rage is dangerous. Okay. With that in mind, we're going to go ahead and wind down. Yeah, Sean says I've done it many times. Yep, me too. But thank you all for watching, guys. Remember, kind of stop. Feel the energy around you. Be aware of that spatial awareness, if you will. Pay attention to what's going on around you. And also pay attention to the things that flip that anger trigger, that get that momentum going into that uncontrollable rage. Stop. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Again, Thank you all for watching Live with the Shaman. I will have this video compiled and uploaded to the Celtic Shamanism YouTube archives here in about probably 10 minutes or so, right? Thanks again for watching. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time here on Live with the Shaman.